Digital services company was Australia's third fastest growing IT company in 2008, according to DeloitteFast50 IT Index. We spoke to Oliver Palmer, Tiger Spike's co-founder and the head of innovation, and asked what he sees as the year's biggest tech trend.
I think one of the things that Tiger Spike saw this year specifically was the move away from a broad range of platforms in the mobile space and the focus on individual platforms. With the launch of the iPhone and the Android platform, we started to see less influence from a carrier perspective and more focus on what really worked for the consumer. Developing iPhone applications and Android applications really helped us to work with companies to put that brand in their hand rather than trying to work within the telco environment. And that was a key trend, a key difference to what we'd seen in the past. That really happened in 2008.
It must be a bit of an issue for telcos then. Don't they want to claw back that space?
Absolutely. Apart from the fact that they're still in the mix, they're still required for the connectivity. They still provide a lot of services, and people are very familiar with the telco environment in terms of using their handsets. They still buy a handset from Telstra. They still buy a handset from Vodafone, that sort of thing. So working with the telcos and working how they can work in this new environment where it's all about the handset and the brand itself is part of the function of Tiger Spike, is making that connection between the two.
So looking forward into 2009, what do you see as the biggest emerging trend?
One of the key things next year is going to be an explosion of services on the mobile phone, on the mobile device, and in the digital arena as a whole. As people get more comfortable with using the internet as they're moving around, they're not fixed to a PC in the office, we're going to see an explosion of services around that. Really location-based services, social networking involving the mobile device, that sort of thing is really going to sort of take off. Brands are going to integrate more into the conversation. Things like Twitter, that kind of thing, are going to become more mainstream. They're not just the domain of sort of the early adopters and technical people. It's going to become much more part of people's everyday lives.
So in terms of corporate adoption of new technologies, do you see them taking a greater part?
Absolutely. I think everybody is getting far more involved in the conversation, in using mobile in new and innovative ways, and brands are wanting to get themselves into that conversation. They want to get involved. They want to be part of what people are doing. And as advertising budgets are sort of shrinking, people are really focusing on that ROI, and using the digital space really gives people that return on investment that they're looking for in terms of what their marketing and advertising spend is.
Financial forecasts are still pretty gloomy for at least the next year or two. What impact do you see the slowdown having on the tech sector?
They talk about sort of recession-proof businesses, and at the moment we've been fairly well protected from that sort of what's going on in the financial sector and that sort of thing. It will have some impact. People are really much more conscious of how they spend their money and what they spend their money on. One of the things we try and do is focus on what sort of return they get, how they can really value and maximise their return on what money they do spend. And we'll see that continue over the next 6 to 12 months, I think.